Hi, this is Tim Mai. Thank you and congratulations on your investment in this powerful 7-day Instant Cash Secrets course. My goal in this course is for you to be able to have the exact step-by-step of how to find and flip houses in just 7 days. Now let me give you the strategy behind these secrets so that way you have a bigger picture, a better understanding for what you're about to learn. The strategy in this course is how to control properties, whether they're ugly or pretty, how to control properties using flex options and then immediately resell them to another buyer. Now, if you're, chances are you've never heard of what a flex option is before, unless you're a student of mine. And the reason why you've never heard of what a flex option is because it's something that my attorney and I had invented and created so that way I can control properties and sell them very quickly. And so before I give you the definition of what a flex option is, let me first explain to you what a real estate contract is. And then that'll allow me to lead on what a flex option is much easier. A real estate contract is a bilateral agreement, and what that means is this. It means that the seller agrees to sell and promise and agree to sell, and the buyer agrees to buy and promise to buy. And both parties are bound by this agreement, and that if one party defaults, the other party has the right to sue the defaulted party for non-performance. What that means is this. If you have a contract with a seller and you as a buyer defaults on that agreement or defaults on that contract, for whatever reason, the seller has the right to sue you for non-performance. So as you can see, there are risks involved in using a real estate contract, okay, and especially if you don't know what you're doing or you're writing out the contract wrong. And so that's a real estate contract. Now let me explain to you what a flex option is, okay? A flex option is very similar to a real estate contract because the seller agrees to sell, the buyer agrees to buy, but here's the powerful part about a flex option. A flex option allows the buyer the unlimited rights, okay? It allows you, the buyer, the unlimited rights to terminate the agreement for whatever reasons. It doesn't matter if it's because you couldn't find a buyer, so you can't perform, you can't get a loan, or you just didn't like the house anymore, or you just didn't like the seller anymore, whatever reason, or your dog ate the house, whatever. It doesn't matter. You get the right to terminate the agreement. Okay. Now, on the seller side, here's what's powerful for them: is that they also have the right to terminate the agreement if they find a buyer before you do. Okay, I hope you caught that. Let me say it again. The seller also has the right to terminate the agreement if he or she finds the buyer before you do. So what it does is that it allows the seller to continue to market their house just like normal, okay? But yet it gives you the chance, it allows you to cut into the deal and then control it and sell it to your buyer. Okay, and you make your money by marking up the price and selling to your buyer. You see, it's a win-win-win situation all the way around. For the seller, they'll be able to sell their house much quicker because they have you, the professional, because now you're about to learn this course. You know exactly how to sell these houses quickly. So the seller benefits is because they have you to help them market the property to sell quickly. And you benefit is because it's a house that you didn't have to pay for. You didn't have to take out a loan or mortgage or money to buy the house. You don't have to make any mortgage payments. You simply just controlling the property and then sell them, immediately resell them to another buyer. And you make your money from the difference that the market price that you sell to your buyer. And so this is what's so powerful about the secrets that I'm about to share with you. And like I said, this will work regardless whether it's ugly houses, in this case, wholesale deals, or pretty houses, such as the owner-occupant type homes, the owner financing, lease option, contract for deeds, type homes. Okay, it works any type of deals that that you can think of. Now, when you talk to the seller and explain to them what you're doing, okay, make sure that they understand that they have nothing to lose. Okay, they have nothing to lose but everything else to gain, because they can continue to market their house like normal, and if they find a buyer before you do, great for them. They can sell it to their buyer. Okay, and it doesn't cost the seller any money. Whatever price you agree to buy from the seller, okay, you're just going to mark up the price and you're going to sell it to your buyer. And so the seller doesn't have to pay you a commission or any of that. The money you make is from the markup that you're putting on the property and immediately selling it to the buyer. So make sure the seller is clear, understands exactly what it is that you have to offer them, the exact benefits that you have to offer them. Okay, well, let's get started in the course, because in the course you know the exact step-by-step of how to do this and the exact script of what you're going to say to the sellers. And so, without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to today's Virtual Investing 7-Day Instant Cash Secrets, how to find and flip pretty houses in 7 days. First, let me go over the overview, the big picture of what's going to happen in the next 7 days, and then I will drill down into each specific days and share with you exactly what you need to do and the resources and the scripts you need to be able to use. Okay, so on day one, what we're going to do is we're going to generate as many leads as we can. Okay, and we generate these leads so we can either call them or email them on day two, which is about contacting your leads, and the script that we're going to use to get them to agree to sign a flex option, and then and then on day 3, 4, 5, and 6, we are going to then market the property for sale. Okay, market the properties for sale with different strategies, including the online strategies, offline strategies to find buyers, and we're going to also auction off the property to find buyers. And I will explain later on, what we're auctioning for, and then we go on to day number 7, which is how to how to structure the deal so that way you can go to closing and actually get paid for the deal. So that's the 7 days. Now let's go and get into the details specific on these. Let me zoom in here. Okay, on day 1, like I said, what you want to do is compile and generate a set of leads that you're going to work off. The easiest and fastest way to compile the leads, because I've already done the hard work for you, is by logging into dodeals.com and using your username and password. If you don't already have an account, go to dodeals.com to create your account. And once you log in, you want to click on the motivated sellers and also the private seller leads. Okay, now let me go to the website and show you that. I'm logging in here now, and what you're gonna see once I log in is different tabs for different types of deals that we have. Okay, now I'm using my admin account, meaning I can view leads all across the US. With your account, you can only view leads from one market area at a time, and so pick the market area that you want to work with. You can change your market area anytime you want by going to edit your profile. And of course you can, you don't have to select your local area. You can do this all across the US. Okay, so you have a tab here that's called Motivated Sellers. So you go in here, and depending on the market area that that you're in, you want to take, you want to write in the seller's contact information, okay, and compile them, okay. And the best way to work these leads is go to the oldest leads and come back. Okay, so work on the oldest leads first, and come back to the newer one. The reason why is this. It's because when a lead just first get into in our system, they have a lot of investors calling them, but once they get past a few weeks and a month, there's not as many people calling them anymore, and so if you're calling them a month, 2 months later, and they still haven't sold their house, chances are they will be a whole lot more motivated than when they were initially first posted their leads on our website. So you want to go in and you want to put out, take down their name and their phone number, and compile that leads, and then you want to do the same. You want to do the same thing for the private seller leads as well. Okay. You want to do the same thing for the private seller leads. Okay, and so same thing. Get the address, phone number, any information you have on the property, because then you're gonna call them. Now I'll teach you how to do this in just a second here. Okay, now next, once you compile a list from dodeals.com, you can stop there, which is you can stop there, or depending on how many leads we have in your area, if you want to find some more leads, and also it depends on if you're doing this full-time or part-time. If you have more time, great, okay, but try to get at least 50 leads first. And another website that you can go to is you can go to Craigslist.org and Backpage.com. Okay, and when you go to, I'll give you an example of Craigslist. Let's say I go to Craigslist and I click on Houston. I'm only click on Houston because this is where I live. So I would click on real estate for sale, and I would search in motivated sellers or seller, because that's what the motivated seller would put in. So as you can see, I have 114 back, and so you would then click into one of these, and you would email them right here. This is the email address that you can email. It gets sent out through the Craigslist system, or you can. Here's also his name and phone number that you can call. Okay, and looks like a really nice house. Okay. In today's market, sellers are having a much harder time in selling their houses, and so so what you need to do is you need to get smarter at how you sell these houses. Okay, and that's why in this course I'm teaching you how to use auction to sell it, how to offer owner financing, lease option, contract for deed, and so that way the buyer doesn't have to get a conventional loan. They don't have to go to the bank, and as long as they have a down payment, you're going to sell these houses to them. Okay. All right. So once you've done that, you want to compile a list and collect as much information as you can: their name, their phone number, their email address, the property address. Okay, and just put in an Excel file for now. You could, if you have a website with a database, that's fine. You can use that. But if you don't, I don't want you to spend a lot of money right now. I just want you to get going with this strategy and make some money very quickly. And then you can do whatever else you want to do, and buy, websites and databases and such. Okay, well, that will bring you to the end of day one. And like I said, try to come up with at least 50. You should have that done in, about 30 minutes to an hour would be at the max. If you have more time on day one, go ahead, more power to you. Compile more, okay? Compile as many as you can. And then on day two, what you're going to do is you're going to gonna call the sellers, and you're going to either call them or email them. I highly recommend that you call them if you can, especially if you're new to real estate investing or if you've never done a deal before, because calling sellers is going to give you a lot of practice, and through a lot of practice, you're going to become very confident, and you're going to learn in the process of how to negotiate with the sellers, how to find out what the reasons why they're selling their house, finding the hot buttons, and so I highly suggest that you call them, versus email or do other things. Okay, so you're going to then call these sellers and find out if the property is still available. Okay, and if the property is if property is not available, you call the next seller, of course. Okay, and this is the script that you're going to tell them. Now, I'm not going to read the entire script because it's kind of long, but I'll give you just some ideas behind it. Okay, here's something that that I would say. Hi, my name is Tim. I'm calling about your house for sale. Is it still available? Who am I speaking with? I get the name, and then I said, can you tell me a little bit about the house? I'll let them talk about the house, the condition, where it's located. Sounds like a lovely home. Can I ask why you're selling it? So I want to find out why they're selling their house. Because it'll give me an idea, are they going through foreclosure, they can't afford the house anymore, are they upgrading, downgrading, are they relocating, does the house need a lot of repairs, are they moving in with their kids, what's going on here? And I'll also find out from them, what they think the value of their home is, and how much they still owed on it. And I'll also ask them, how long they've been trying to sell it, and why hasn't the house been sold, and how soon they need to sell it for. Would they consider renting it out if they can't sell it? Okay, I want to know that so I can know if I can structure a lease option instead. Because if you can structure a lease option, it's much better for you, because then you can just assign that to a tenant buyer and keep the down payment as your fee. Now, for those of you who are in Texas, a lease option is much more difficult to do nowadays, and so you would use the same strategy, except for you would negotiate for a wraparound mortgage instead. Okay, you would negotiate for a wraparound mortgage, or you can negotiate for a delayed closing contract, which is something I teach in the Flex Option Secrets, as well as my cash on demand real estate system. But we don't have time to go into that today, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let me, where was I? Oh yes, and then so you ask them, let me ask you this, would you sell it for what you owed on it? I want to know, how motivated is this seller? If they're willing to sell for what they owed on it, then we can take the house subject to, and if we can take the house subject to, that would be awesome. Okay, that would be really, really good for us, and that would allow us to that would allow us to assign that over to a buyer, and keep the down payment as our fee, and we'll be out of the picture, and the buyer don't have to get a new loan. And if they say no, then you tell them, if I pay all cash and close quickly, what would be the least you would accept? And if the amount that they say sounds like a lot, or you can actually, regardless what they say, you can say this. Well, I don't think that will meet our cash buying criteria, but here's what I can do. I work with a group of real estate investors. We buy houses, sell, and we buy, sell, and rent houses. The problem is we sold our last property, and you don't have to say this. It depends on your situation. If you've never done a property, then you can skip this statement, okay? And you just say, the problem is, we have a list of buyers right now that needs a home, and we don't have any house for them right now. Is it okay with you if I refer my buyers to you? It doesn't cost you anything. We get paid from our buyers, and then chances are they'll say great. and then you send them the flex option, ask them for the email and fax number, and send them the flex option, and let them know that this agreement would allow you to send your buyers their way, and also this agreement states that you or your buyers can buy their house within 90 days, and the seller can cancel at any time that they want if they find a buyer before you do. Okay, so if they find a buyer before your buyer says yes, then they can terminate the flex option agreement. Okay, will that work for you? Great, I'll send it over. So that's the process that you take them. That's the script that you're going to use. Now, in this script, get a feel for what they will be willing to do. Your goal is to structure either a subject to, an owner financing, or a contract for deed or a lease option. Okay, structure a deal in a way where you and your buyer does not need to get a new loan. Okay, it's very, very important that you understand that. Okay, structure in a way where you and your buyer does not need to get a new loan, because that's how you're going to sell houses quickly. Okay, because buyers can't get a loan right now, and so if they can get into a home that they don't have to take out a loan, they would be willing to pay more for that house, and you open up yourself to having a whole lot more buyers. All right. Once they agree, then you send the flex option over to them, and determine what the real value of the property is, what the rental value is, so you can expect you can have an idea of how much you can get from your buyers. Okay, follow up with them until they agree to sign the agreement and fax or email it back to you. Okay, if you're doing this in your local market area, sometimes you might want to consider, especially if you're new to this, you might want to consider meeting up with them and meeting up with them and get them to sign the agreement, as well as taking pictures of the properties while you're there. Okay, once you get the agreement back, so on day 2 you want to keep on doing this. Make it a goal to have 10 flex options signed. As you can see, it doesn't cost the seller anything, so it's a win-win situation on both ends. Okay, and I'm gonna share with you in the next one here why it makes sense for you to have more flex options signed. Okay, so that goes to the end of day 2. So let's go to day 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, in day 3, 4, 5, and 6, what you're going to do is this. And let me zoom it in a little bit so we can see that better. Okay, you're going to market to your buyers, and you similar to you would market to your buyers by emailing out to your buyers list. Okay, if you have one, if you don't have one, you're going to start compiling it. So next time around, you can email to your buyers list. You can also find buyers online by posting ads on websites like Craigslist and Backpage and Postlets, by owner MLS, Hotpads, Local, Local.com, Lycos.com, Udo, Zillow, your local newspaper websites. So as many websites as you can, you want to post it on there. And I'll just show you real quick what it looks like on Craigslist. You would go to the top here and click on post, and then you would put post in an ad, and I'm offering and posting an ad, and that's how you're going to find your buyers. Rooms and share, rent, housing, real estate by owner. Okay, that's what you want to do. Now, the reason why you need to have a flex option sign is because it's illegal for you to market a property for sale that you don't have control of, that you don't have interest in. And using a flex option, it gives you interest into that property and be able to sell that property. So You put in the price you want, posting ads, and so on. Okay. Now, actually, let me go back just a little bit and tell you what the exit strategy is before I go back here, so it'll make sense to you. Okay. The exit strategy is we're going to auction this house off. Okay, and depending on depending on the arrangement that you have with the seller. If the seller just wants all money up front, that's a little bit different. Then you want to have enough discount so that way you can find buyers. Let's say you can find, because this is an owner-occupant buyer house. A pretty house is typically an owner-occupant buyer, a house for an owner-occupant buyer. An owner-occupant buyer, if you're selling the house to them at 90% of value, so let's say $100,000 house, you're selling at $90,000, you get a lot of interest, okay? But that's with you having to get a discount from the seller. But let's say the seller don't want to give you much of a discount. Then you just have to negotiate for them to do an owner financing or lease option, so that way you can just have a down payment. You can just have a down payment. In the way that I do this the most is I would negotiate for a lease option, and I would tell the let's say the seller wants to sell their house for $100,000. I'd say, okay, we have a lot of different types of buyers. Some of them can get a loan and buy your house today, and some of them, they have a little bit of a credit challenge, so they can't buy it today. But what they can do is they can move in today on a lease to own, and pay you a monthly fee, let's say $1,000, pay you a monthly rent of $1,000, and buy your house a year from now. Okay, and so that's what I would negotiate with the homeowner to do. So then I turn around and market it to find a buyer, and get the buyer to, instead of auctioning for the house, I would get the buyer to auction for the down payment. So so I would tell the buyer, hey buyer, I have this great house. It's worth I'm selling it for $110,000. Notice I mark it up $10,000. And I'm auctioning to find the buyers with the highest down payment, and that's who I'll sell the house to. And your monthly payment will be about $1,000 a month. So my goal is to find a buyer that can put $10,000 down, and so that way I can just then take that $10,000 as my down payment and assign the contract that I have with my original seller to this end buyer, and so that's how you would use the 3-day bid. And you can do this online, you can do this offline. To get a good idea on the auction process, pick up this book called How to Sell Any Home in 5 Days. Now that book teaches you how to sell the house outright. Here I just explained to you about how to auction it and just get a down payment. The process is the same. It's just that you have to be clear to your buyers that this is for the down payment and not for the entire house. And we created a website called 3daybid.com to automate this process for us. So that way we don't have to run an offline auction. But when I first started with this, we used to do it offline all the time. And so I mean, if you haven't done any of these deals before, or you're new to this, that's something you might want to do. You might just want to run it offline, just so you can get some experience, and learn from it for next time. Okay. So let me see here. Now auction strategy is one exit strategy that you can use. I like it is because just the word auction itself let the buyers know that you're trying to sell the house quickly and that they're gonna get a good price on it, and so I like using that, but you definitely don't have to if that's something you don't want to do. You definitely can just ask the buyer, I have this house, it's I'm selling it for 110. I'm selling on a lease to own for 110,000, and what that means is that you pay $1,000 a month, and in a year from now you'll buy the house, and we'll help you repair your credit, whatever the case might be. And you ask them, I just need $10,000 as the down payment. And if the buyer don't have $10,000 down, then you ask the buyers, well, what's the most amount that you have as a down payment for your new home today? And so you want to get as much down as you can, because that's how you're going to make your money. The beautiful thing about this strategy is that you don't have to wait for the bank to you don't have to wait for the bank to approve the buyer. The minute that you approve the buyer, it's a done deal, and they give you the they give you the down payment very quickly, depending on when you schedule it. And once they give that money to you, it's yours. The deal is over. You would then assign the contract over to them, and from that point on, the original seller and your buyer will be in contact with each other. Okay, so knowing what your exit strategy is, when you email or call your buyers, you're going to tell them what you're trying to do. You're auctioning it off. You're selling it to the buyer with the highest down payment offer in 3 days. Okay, and you're also going to post the ads online, and you're going to do the same thing. You want to so that's for online. And then for offline, what you can do is either you do it yourself, or you can hire someone to do this for you. Is drive the neighborhood and put out signs, put out bandit signs on vacant houses in that neighborhood. What's going to happen is you're going to get a flood of phone calls from buyers who are driving that neighborhood looking for homes. And not only from buyers, but from tenants who are living in that neighborhood. Now they can see how they can own a home instead of renting it. And so you're gonna get a flood of them calling you. And when they call you, you just tell them, I don't have this. This property is not available yet, but I do have another house right down the street that I can show you. So you take them down to the flex option, the house that you have a flex option on. Okay, and you for your signs, you can put something like home for sale, owner financing. Only $1,000 a month. Call this number. Or home for sale. Rent to own, or not even home for sale, but rent to own. Only $1,000 a month. Call this number. You can advertise a down payment here, but I like I want as many buyers to call me as possible, so I can add them to my buyers list. And and I want to let them know that we can negotiate for the down payment. I want to take as much as I can, but even if they have $3,000 to put down, I'll still take it. $3,000 is still better than nothing, right? And so. So that's the reason why we don't put the down payment require on here. Another thing you can do is, once you have a list of buyers, especially once you do this a couple of times, you can then also send out a voice broadcast. You can also then send out a voice broadcast to your buyers. And use the same script that you would use in the email, and tell them to call you. Okay, like I said, if you're new to this, if you haven't done a deal yet, I prefer for you to get on the phone, talk to these sellers, talk to these buyers, gain some experience, and then you can be picky and sending them to a voicemail box and sending them to your website and so on. You can also choose to run classified ads in your local newspaper, and you want to run them in your weekly newspapers, okay, not your daily newspaper. That gets way too expensive. The weekly newspapers will have the buyers that these kind of strategies will work much better for, and the ad is much less expensive. And you would use the same ad that you would put in the neon sign, homes for sale, owner financing, only $1,000 a month, call this number, and so on. Okay. Now, once you do that, you're gonna have a lot of buyers calling you, so you pre-screen them. If you're gonna do the auction offline, then you tell them where's the property, when they need to go look at it, when you're gonna have the auction. If you're gonna do this online, then just send them the link to your property on 3daybid.com and let them auction it. Okay, that brings us to the end of day 3, 4, and 5. Like I said, the more you market the property, the better. And so do as much as you can. Another thing that you can do that I didn't put in here is what you could do is you can contact property management companies in your area. Okay, contact property management companies in the area that your properties are in. And how can you find them? You can go on like yellowpages.com and look for them, okay? And you can call them and let them know that you have properties that you will sell, that you're trying to sell using lease options or owner financing, and if they have any tenants that would like to own a home, that you would sell to them, and you would pay the property management company a fee for that for that transaction. And so property management company is definitely a great way to go about it. Okay, and in any landlords that you know of, ask them if they have any tenants or past tenants that might be interested in your home. You can do that, and the more this is why having more flex option deals signed is good. It's because it allows you to give the buyers more options. If the buyer doesn't like one house, you can send them to the next one. If they don't like that house either, you send them to another one. Send them to as many as you can, right? So I'm just doing a quick search here. Let me see. You can do this on your own. I'm not going to go through this, but look at this. I mean, real estate management. There's a lot of them that that you can contact and find ones that deals with homes. You can also get referrals. Get referrals from other landlords, other investors of what property management companies that they use, and contact them as well. Okay, and going after property management companies would be your shortcut into this. Okay, now so voice podcast, classified ads, property management companies. Like I said, try to when you're dealing with the seller, try your best to structure a lease option or a contract for deed or an owner financing, or subject to depending on your state. Different laws, different states have different laws, so different strategies work a little bit differently. But like owner financing would work all across the board. Okay, so if you can get the owner to do owner financing, that's great. Now some owners will
will ask or will require a down payment. So and if they do ask for a down payment, then it's number one, you need to negotiate for that down payment to be as small as you can, and so that and then because you're gonna have to split that with them. So let's say in my example of you have the house under contract for $100,000 for you to buy it a year later, and the seller, let's say the seller requires $2,000 down. Well, you're gonna try to get anything more than $2,000 down from your buyer. So let's say you sell it for $110,000, and you get $10,000 down from your buyer. You paid the seller $2,000 down. You get to keep $8,000, okay, of the down payment. And so that's how that's how you would structure it to get paid quickly. This is one of my favorite strategies, and the reason being is because you can get paid so quickly with this strategy. You don't have to, especially like with a lease option, you don't even have to go through a title company. Okay, you can do this. You can totally do this at the kitchen table and close the deal, and the buyer gives you the down payment, and you get paid, and that's the end of it. You can get paid as quick as the same day that you find that buyer. Okay, so this happens really, really quick, and this is why I really like this strategy, and this is why I'm teaching you this strategy, so that way you can get paid quickly and get hooked into real estate investing and continue doing this. Okay, that brings us to day number 7. Okay, and day number 7 is now how to structure the deal. Once you have the buyer, okay, if you're auctioning it, then you have the winning bidder, or if if you're not auctioning, whatever, you have the buyer now, and you're gonna contact that buyer. You're gonna put it under contract, collect the earnest money or the down payment, okay. And the down payment that they're giving you is your fee, okay. The down payment that they're giving you is your fee. Now, if they don't have any down payment yet, they still need some time before they can close and give you the down payment. Then you're gonna need to collect an earnest money, okay, an earnest money, and you can collect anywhere from $500 to $2,000 earnest money. And have the buyer pay it to you, so that way that becomes a part of your upfront fee that you get on day number 7, and you can get the rest of your fee when the buyer gives you the down payment. Okay, and then once you get it under contract, you want to convert your flex option agreement with the seller into a normal agreement, a normal sales and purchase agreement, or a lease option agreement, depending on your deal. Then you're going to assign that agreement to your buyer. Okay, if you're gonna do owner financing or contract for deed, then you want to submit it through a title company. Okay, if you're just gonna do a lease option or delay closing contract, then you don't even need a title company for this. Okay, you just get your closing date. You just get your closing date, and when that closing date comes, you collect your check and you close on it. Now remember that because the buyer does not need to go through a conventional loan process. Okay, because they don't need to go through that. You do not need to wait 30 days to close on your deals. You can tell the buyers, how soon can you get the down payment? They can tell you in 3 days, in 7 days, and how as soon as the buyer has the down payment, that's when that should be your scheduled closing date, so that way you can get paid very quickly. Like I said, in some cases you can get both your earnest money and your down payment all in the same day. If the buyer already has that down payment in the same day, and you're just doing a lease option where you don't even have to go through a title company. Okay. So it happens very, very quickly, and this is definitely one of my favorite strategies. And in today's market, this is the best strategies to use is the best strategy to use. And moving on forward, you're going to see that this strategy being used a lot more often. This strategy was very widely used in in the 80s when people couldn't get a loan. And so it's coming back to that again. We're in a situation now with the market the way it is. People have a hard time getting a loan. So by you structuring an owner financing or lease option or a contract for deed, you're going to be able to sell your houses so much quicker than anyone else in the market that's trying to get a conventional loan. So definitely get really good with this. Okay, get really good with these strategies. And if you have further questions, go ahead and log in to dodeals.com and submit your question to the hotline, and I'll answer them. I'll help you as much as I can. Okay, and now I mean, what you're learning here is just one strategies of the many strategies that I teach in my Flex Option Secrets course. But I mean, that course was created from a from an entire 2-day seminar, and so it has a lot of information. I don't have all of the time in today's course to teach you all of that. But this strategy that I'm teaching you here should be more than enough. Should be more than enough for you to get started, make some money. Once you make some money, then you can invest that money into the Flex Option course and to other courses that I might have to help you further along. Okay, the more education that you can arm yourself with, the better. Okay, the more education you can arm yourself with, the better. And so, with that said, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I certainly enjoyed teaching you this. I hope you enjoy it too. I want to teach you this because I want to make sure that you get to get paid quickly, so you get hooked and stay in the game, so that way we can have a much more long-term relationship with together. And so okay, well, thank you so much, and good luck. I'll talk to you again on the next course. Okay, bye bye.